Hello, and welcome to Intelligent Pod, the show where we explore big ideas, break them down, and connect them to our everyday lives. I'm Sophie Lane, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that's as dynamic as it is essential: understanding geopolitics and the forces shaping our world. Whether you're a news junkie, a curious mind, or just someone who wonders why certain headlines seem to pop up again and again, this episode is for you. We'll unpack what geopolitics really means, why it matters, and how the invisible threads of power, resources, and culture tug at the world map in ways that impact us all, even if we're not always aware of it. So let's get started. First things first, what is geopolitics? At its core, geopolitics is the study of how geography, economics, and power interact on the global stage. It's about how countries jostle for influence, how alliances are born and broken, and how historical tides ebb and flow, leaving their mark on the present. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds pretty abstract. And I get it. Sometimes geopolitics feels like one of those words that floats around in think tanks or university lecture halls. But let's bring it down to earth. Imagine you're playing a game of chess. Each piece has its own role, its own moves, and the board itself, the space you're playing on, shapes every decision you make. Geopolitics is like a grand chess match, except the stakes are real. The players are nations, and the board is our plaid. The moves? They're shaped by geography, mountains, rivers, oceans, by resources like oil, rare minerals, and even fresh water, and by the ambitions of leaders and the needs of their people. Let's ground this with a statistic. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, global military expenditure reached a record $2.24 trillion in 2022. That's a staggering sum, and it's a testament to how seriously nations take the business of power and security. But military might is just one part of the picture. Here's a relatable example. Think about your smartphone. Chances are, it was assembled in one country, the software was developed in another, and the rare earth metals inside were mined somewhere else entirely. International supply chains are a perfect illustration of how interconnected and complicated our world has become. When a ship gets stuck in the Suez Canal, or when trade tensions rise between two major economies, we feel it in delivery delays, price hikes, and even shortages at the store. So, what are the main forces shaping geopolitics today? Let's explore a few key perspectives. First, the psychological perspective. There's a common idea in psychology called in-group and out-group bias. We tend to favor those who are like us, who speak our language, share our culture or beliefs, and view outsiders with suspicion. This instinct has played out on the world stage for centuries, fueling nationalism, rivalries, and sometimes even conflict. If you've ever wondered why certain countries seem locked in endless disputes, part of the answer lies in these deeply rooted human tendencies. From the scientific angle, let's talk about resources and climate. A 2021 study published in Nature found a strong correlation between climate change and the likelihood of conflict in certain regions. As temperatures rise and water becomes scarcer, tensions over resources intensify. We're seeing this play out in places like the Sahel region of Africa, where drought and competition over arable land have contributed to instability. The science tells us that environmental changes are no longer just local issues. They're reshaping global security in profound ways. Now, let's shift to culture. Culture is often an underappreciated driver of geopolitics. Take the concept of soft power, a term coined by political scientist Joseph Nye. Soft power is about winning hearts and minds, using culture, values, and diplomacy to influence others, rather than relying on force. Think of K-pop spreading Korean culture across the globe, or how Hollywood movies shape perceptions of America. These cultural exports can improve a nation's image, build alliances, and sometimes even diffuse tensions. Let me share a real-life anecdote that brings these threads together. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine, a move that stunned the world and set off a chain of geopolitical consequences. The annexation wasn't just about military might. It was also about historical identity, economic interests in the Black Sea, and concerns over NATO's eastward expansion. The story of Crimea is a powerful example of how geography, psychology, history, and culture intertwine in geopolitics, and it's still unfolding today. So with all these forces at play, you might be wondering, what can we do as individuals? How does understanding geopolitics actually help us in our daily lives? Great question. Here are a few actionable tips. First, stay curious. The world is complex, but curiosity is your best guide. When you read the news, look for the bigger picture. Ask yourself, what's driving this event? Is it about resources, alliances, history, or something else? Second, diversify your sources. Geopolitics is full of competing narratives. Try to read news from multiple countries and perspectives. This not only broadens your understanding, but also helps you spot bias and misinformation. Third, connect the global to the local. The decisions made in far-off capitals can have a ripple effect on your life, whether it's the price of gas, the availability of certain foods, or the arrival of new neighbors from distant places. Being aware of these connections can help you adapt and make informed choices. Fourth, engage in conversations. Talk to friends, family, or colleagues about what's happening in the world. You don't need to be an expert. Just asking questions and being open to different viewpoints is a powerful way to learn and foster understanding. And finally, remember that empathy matters. Behind every headline, there are real people whose lives are shaped by the forces we've discussed. Approaching geopolitics with empathy can help bridge divides and build a more connected world. Let's recap what we've covered today. Geopolitics isn't just for diplomats or analysts. It's the story of how geography, power, culture, and psychology shape our world. From the smartphone in your pocket to the headlines you read, the invisible forces of geopolitics touch us all. By staying curious, seeking out diverse perspectives, connecting the global to the local, and engaging with empathy, we can better understand and influence the world around us. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. The world is always in motion, shaped by countless forces both seen and unseen. But with knowledge, curiosity, and empathy, each of us can be an active participant in the story of our time. Thank you so much for joining me today on Intelligent Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It really helps new listeners find us. You can find show notes and more resources at intelligentpod.com. And if you have thoughts or feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Email me anytime at sophie@intelligentpod.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and keep exploring. I'm Sophie Lane, and this is Intelligent Pod.